Thank you guys for having me, man. Just want to thank the New Orleans Greater Sports Foundation Quarterback Club for having me here. It's always a blessing to come here. Ken always invites me here, and whenever I do come, I really truly appreciate you guys because you guys show me a very warm welcome. Want to congratulate the young kids who won some awards here today. You guys are very special. You guys are the future leaders of not only our community but of the world. So we really appreciate what you guys are doing. For me to follow Mr. Dennis, who's just a phenomenal person, and like I told him before he even stood up to come and speak to you guys, I really appreciate what he's doing, not only with the sports arena as far as the Saints and the Pelicans, but what he's doing in the community. Those guys are really making a difference for our youth today, and that's what we need. And if we don't have that, then we don't have anything moving forward. And thank you again, Mr. Dennis. With that being said, Mr. Jamal Fobbs, I'm following him. I remember back in the days, he and I were on the front page of, or the cover of some high school football magazines in the beginning of times. He was what they call a four horseman, one of four really great running backs at St. Augustine High School. So, and I was on the other page. His was the East Bank, mine was the West Bank, and I was double trouble because obviously I could run the ball and throw the ball with the best of them. But I couldn't run as good as Jamal could, but that's all right though. He's a great guy and I love him, and I really appreciate what he's doing with the youth today and coaching those guys up at Tulane, and they're doing an excellent job. Continuous success, man. And Dell already knows, he knows where I'm going with this, all right? So 1990, Dell and I were playing at Edna Carr. So I went to Edna Carr first when it was a junior high, and then my 9th grade year is when they started their first year of high school. But Dell and I played together in the defensive backfield for Coach L.I. at Edna Carr in 1990 during the teacher strike. And this is something I always hold against him. Yeah, he played NFL football as a defensive back. Yes, he did. But you know who was the best defensive back in 8th grade that year? He and I both caught 9 intercepts in a 5-game span, and we both were named Mr. Interception that year at the car. So I just want to let Dale know I'm still a better, or just as good a DB as he is. But no, I love this man here like none other. He's one of my brothers. I've been knowing him forever, and he's gotten the job at John Eric is well deserving, and I know he's going to make the most of it, and I think he's going to have a phenomenal career as a head coach anywhere he goes. So thank you very much, man, and I appreciate you. And I love you, brother. Now, with that being said, I know you guys are here to kind of hear a little bit about LSU football or whatnot, but I'll kind of give you a little bit about where I've been over the past couple of years. I haven't been here in a while, but now I've recently relocated to Baton Rouge, and I'm working with a great company in MAP, formerly known as MAP Construction, but we do a lot of commercial buildings, and we do building, and we also do some industrial building and construction, things of that nature. Mike Polito is the owner, one of my great friends, and I love him to death. I couldn't imagine working for a better guy or a better company with great people that's there. We all have a team aspect of togetherness and doing great things together. So, and that's one of the things that we all preach. Everybody up here that's preached here today, we talk about just being together and coming together as a community. So I'm doing that. I'm also doing a Tiger pregame show with Deke Bellavia on WWL. We're doing that prior to the LSU games every Saturday, so if you want to catch me live on the radio, we come on 5 hours before the network, which is about 5 hours before the game starts on WWL 105.3 and 870 AM. Earlier today, I just finished the show with Scott Alexander, his primetime sports show that airs tonight, I think at 6:30 on WLAE, and then at 7 on CST on Cox. So that's a pretty good show we did this morning. I think you guys will really get a kick out of that. That'll be pretty cool. Now moving forward to the Tigers, man. I know there's been a lot of questions about Coach O and what's going on with the Tigers and all of that stuff. So I'll kind of give you a brief history of what I think is what's going on. So we got to go back. You got to go back to the off season, where a couple years ago, actually, or a year ago, where we lost a few guys to either transfer, injuries, or just moving on to different things, or getting kicked off the team, or different things of that nature. So we fast forward to this year. You come back to this year, and you have what I call a depleted roster of actual scholarship guys. So those guys are no longer on the team. You have Trey Quinn or John Dioris, and a couple other wide receivers that played at LSU that are no longer there and that are doing really good things at the universities where they are now. And not only those guys, but the offensive linemen has left. A couple of defensive linemen, are not there. We lose a lot of great talent to the NFL every year. Jamal Adams, Duke Riley, those types of players. So you have to replace those players. And if you don't have those guys in the system already or on campus already, then it's very difficult to just insert anybody to kind of fill those roles. And not only on the football field, but also in the locker room and in the classroom, and to lead the guys in the manner that they should be led in. So with that being said, the biggest difficult thing that I see that Coach O is fighting with right now is just having the sheer number of guys to be able to insert and put on the field and play at a high level all the time. You know, I saw something the other day where, you know, I think it's Lockature who plays defensive end. He played every snap so far this season. Every snap. At a 280-pound defensive lineman playing every snap of every game, every practice. That's very difficult. I mean, the guys, he's not going to be able to be 100% all the time. Even if you play John Madden football, you know, your creative player is not 100% every time. He's going to lose some energy too and some power. So we have to understand that. You know, we have to understand that we don't have, you know, your true number one guys playing all the time. In a fashion of whenever your number one guy comes out, you have to put in a second team guy or a third team guy that normally would not probably play in that position at that point because we've lost so many people. The other thing is also too, with the offensive side, when you talk about Coach Canada, who I think is a really good offensive coordinator, the issue with Coach Canada is there is no issue. He just got here about 6 months ago, if you will. And he's only had a limited amount of time to get these guys squared away and understanding his offense to a T. And that's very difficult. Jamal can speak on this, and I know Coach Dell can speak on it as well. I mean, it's to be able to implement such an intricate offense as he has with all the motions and the formations and the sets and different things of that nature, it's very, very difficult. You know, everybody is not geared or wired to be able to understand that right away. So you have to give the guys a little bit of opportunity to be able to understand the system, understand checks and balances, different things of that nature to make sure that they can perform well on Saturday nights. And that takes time. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. We all would like it to, but it's not. But at least they can get the opportunity to be able to get those guys set in stone to understand to what to the betterment of the team, so that they can make sure that they can fulfill whatever those wishes are of the coaches for them to play well. On defense, I think Coach Aranda is one of the greatest defensive coordinators in the country. I think he will have a head coaching job here soon. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. Once again, his roster is a little bit depleted as well, losing some great defensive players to the NFL who are also not great players on the field, but also great leaders in the locker room. Those are the things that I think that are hurting I guess, if you were not really hurting, but kind of slowing the pace down of what everybody would like for the LSU Tigers moving forward. Now, for me, I think this is a rebuilding year and not much of a reloading year because of the simple fact that we don't have the number of scholarship athletes on the team. But this is something that we can overcome. This is not, I don't think this is anything that's completely detrimental to the university and the program there. I think that's something we can definitely build on going forward. Now, with Coach O, you know, Coach O made a statement that he kind of meddled in a little bit with Coach Canada's offense this past a couple weeks ago, which I think he learned his lesson from that. Let Coach Canada coach and let him do his thing, and if it doesn't work out, we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll figure it out later. You have to allow people to be able to do what they do. This is why you know, you entrust and you have certain hierarchy. You know, you have your presidents, you have your general managers, and then you have everybody underneath them. You have your head coach, your offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You let those guys do what they do. The times that you meddle or the times that you get in the way of that or put your 2 cents in is during the meeting times when you guys are meeting together as a coaching staff. And I think Coach O has learned his lesson with that. But I think very, very highly of Coach O. I think he's one of was one of the best choices for us to pick to have as a head coach, not only because of his enthusiasm and his love for LSU football, but because he's a native of Louisiana. He played at LSU and he understands the tradition and he understands what it means to everyone here in the state of Louisiana to be a LSU Tiger. So that's, for me, that's very important. And I think that he's going to allow those guys to coach and to do the very best that they can as coordinators and things of that nature. And I think he's also going to continue to bring in the very best coaching staff that he can bring in to be successful so that they can get back to winning those 10, 11 games a season and vying for the SEC championship West and then the SEC championship every year. You know, it's always going to be that Alabama guy over there that's you know, that's going to be standing on the other side of the field. But you know, coach, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, as everybody here knows. So with that being said, I think that the other thing that I think LSU need to do is we have to get back to just continuing to play LSU Tiger football. Kind of like what Coach Favre was saying, is you play every snap the very best you can. You know, when we played against Mississippi State, I thought that we played hard. I thought we played decent, but we just got overmanned, overpowered. I thought they were the better team that game. But when we played Troy, we played flat. We didn't play with enthusiasm. We didn't play with a lot of passion, and that's something that you can't have. The only good thing about that is you can change that. You can work on that. You can fix that. You can make that better during the week of practice, and then you can come back strong and with a better outing than on Saturday night. With that being said, I think they came out and played really, really passionate, really, really strong, and they really wanted that win against Florida, and it was evident because we ended up winning the game at Florida, which is something I've never done. And I think the world of those guys, and I appreciate the heart and the hard work that they put into it. When everybody was down on them, everybody was kind of pushing Coach O out the door and all this other stuff. They responded like true champions do, and they stood up tall, and they brought the fight to the Gators, and it came home with a W, and that's the very best thing. And I think moving forward, that's the exact same thing and same game plan and approach that we need to make and continue to move forward with, is playing passionate football, learning the offense a lot better than what we know it now, because we're still learning the offense, and then we're still inserting certain guys in there to make to become leaders and to make those plays when we need it. And then we need the defense to continue to fly around the ball, make tackles, and create turnovers. So with that being said, I think the Tigers are definitely on their way to being better. We're not going to see the same teams that we saw, let's call it the previous 3 or 4 weeks, but we'll definitely see a turnaround in the season and in the play of the guys moving forward. Yeah, that's about all I have in regards to that. And anybody have any questions? I got one question over here.
I didn't get to see you play, Mr. Tyler. I was living in California, and cable isn't what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have the good fortune of refereeing your son at Newman on a couple of occasions.
Yes, sir.
Where did he go, and how is he doing today?
He's at Stanford. He's in his redshirt sophomore year at Stanford right now. He's a starting punt returner, and he plays some receiver out there for them, for Coach David Shaw. That's as anybody here knows, that's one of that's my pride and joy of my whole entire life. No matter what I've done before that, my son is the number one. That's my guy. I love him to death, and I'll make sure that I'll scream his name until the day I die, man. Just so y'all know.
Herb, when I was in the 6th grade, I was listening to Kenny's radio show and watching you play at Old Barry Walker. But anyhow,
I love it.
Do you think that a turnaround is going to happen not only later this year, but do you think they will get a lot deeper and a lot more talented next year to get the thing kind of straightened out?
I think that if you were 6, I was like 2 months, and I was still playing, throwing the ball, and beating Dell at DB, just so you know. I think that right now starts the recruiting process, right? So, we lost a couple of committed recruits over the past couple of weeks. But the more you win games and you beat teams like Florida, and if you don't have to necessarily beat Auburn, but you have to play well, and you have to show fight and dog inside of you, so that you can make sure that you let those kids know that, hey man, we got pride and we're going to play. And if you come here, you're going to have the same pride and play, but you're definitely going to have an opportunity to win, and then win big, win championships, if that makes any sense. But I think Coach O has to turn around the recruiting process right now. He has to make sure that he gets those top tier recruits out of the state first and foremost, and then whatever he needs to do to recruit those offensive linemen, 5-star offense, 4-star offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, things of that nature, that's going to really turn around the team moving forward, because that's really where we're lacking in that interior deal. We have great running backs, as we know. We've lost a little bit of receiving core, but we can get those guys. Our biggest issue has been fighting against your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Clemsons, and getting those offensive linemen up front, those defensive linemen up front as well. And I think that if we can do that, we can definitely turn things around and start vying for that SEC West Championship first of all, and then the SEC Championship second of all. Any other questions? All right, guys, man, thank y'all for having me. Love you guys, and have a good day.